We just had a walkthrough today, but Crowder, Richardson, and Apke would not have participated. Everybody else is limited. Laval, Sheriff, Williams, Vernon Davis, Josh Doxson, Peterson, Vigil, Chris Thompson. They all were limited in the walkthrough.
You had obviously did a walkthrough today instead of practice. What was the thinking behind doing that, and what did you have the guys do before the walkthrough?
Well, we brought them in a little later because we didn't get back till 5 a.m. on Tuesday morning. Gave our coaches time to get a better plan together, and then bring them in here and introduce the base game plan and walk through it, get their legs back under them, and we'll go back out tomorrow.
Obviously, Alex has had a long and distinguished career. No reason to think he won't bounce back. But what do you do after an outing like that to nudge him in the right direction?
Yeah, coach him up and be positive. You know, a lot of things happened to a lot of people in that game that weren't very good. He's one of them, and I was one of them. We all were. We all try to make sure everybody understands this was a total team effort now, and we all have to bounce back. And I know that the type of guys that we have, especially him, he will bounce back.
To follow up on that, did you sense that anything like this was coming from the week of practice or anything like that?
No, not at all. We had a good week of practice, really, and coming off a big win on a bye week, and guys should have been fresh. We just got hit in the mouth early and could never recover. You know, we had a chance to get back in the game. We threw the pick 6 or whatever it was, and a couple of opportunities to make some plays, but didn't work out, and we couldn't stop them.
Joe, with Adrian and Paul, are you optimistic that they'll be able to go on Sunday?
I'm not optimistic or pessimistic either one right now. I'm just going to wait and see day to day. These injuries, they're both pretty sore, but, they're both very tough guys. So I just have to wait and see what the trainers say.
With Alex the other night, did you feel like maybe the pressure, or there was some pressure there and all that? Did it start to get to him a little bit too much more than you thought it might?
There was some pressure in there. They did a nice job. They had a couple good games up front that got us, and we had some other plays where we were protected fine, where we had a chance to step into some throws, and we just couldn't convert for whatever reason. So it was a combination of a lot of things, but we just got to learn from it, move forward, and try to attack Carolina's defense.
When you have that kind of pressure, because there be sometimes, like for example, it looks like there's sometimes where if you hold the ball just that split second longer, you may have something open. I think there was one to Mo Harris down the field on the flat to AP. You hold a little bit. Can you start to feel that pressure maybe before it even gets to you because you have had some to that point? Does that
I
make
suppose
sense?
You could, John. I don't know.
Well, I guess the threat of it can it affect a guy? I'm trying to find out
why
why he was making throws or not
holding.
If
you get hit early in the game, the really good quarterbacks, the veteran guys like Alex have played a long time. It shouldn't affect. One play shouldn't affect the next play. And that's what we try to teach around here. It's always on to the next play, and don't let the last play determine your thoughts or your actions towards the next play. So we actually probably wallowed around in our own crap for too long, worrying about the last play instead of moving on to the next play as a whole group.
What have you seen from Danny Johnson and Greg Stroman in practice and Stroman on Monday, and when do you think you can start trusting those guys to play a little more on defense?
Yeah, I think I trust them now. Greg got beat on a deep ball. He just had bad technique and eyes. But they've shown enough. They can run, and they're physical and all that stuff. But, hopefully we don't have to use them right now. We need to continue to grow with the guys that we have. Dunny and Fabian, obviously Josh and DJ and Monte, those guys together. The more they play together, the more cohesion they will have. We have to have more cohesion to have a chance. But if something happens, then those guys will be ready to go.
You said yesterday on the conference call you were going to sit down with Alex. Just curious, kind of in that conversation, how much of that is mental, how much of that is schematic, and then who's doing the most talking between you and him, considering how long he's been in the league?
We communicate openly. I think we just went through all the plays on offense and talked about, my thought process and just reiterated why the plays were in and what he was thinking and what he likes moving forward. Maybe it's tempo, me calling plays, whatever it might be. We had a good discussion and try to do a better job next week for him, and he'll obviously try to do a better job also.
Carolina's expanded McCaffrey's role this year, and obviously with a guy that versatile, what's the biggest challenge in slowing him down?
Well, it's the same as, last week we had Kamara. This week we have McCaffrey and Samuel and DJ Moore and Cam Newton. So each week there's a different challenge, and McCaffrey's a special guy. He can run between the tackles just like Kamara. He can run outside, and he can catch the ball. So you got to know where he is. And then Samuel comes in there. He does jet sweeps and all that stuff, and they'll throw a screen to DJ Moore, and he's really good after the catch. And we don't know if Olsen's coming back. We're assuming he will, and that's another weapon that they haven't had that's obviously very good, not to mention the legs of Cam Newton, who's 6'5", 260. So it'll be a great challenge for our guys. Our eyes got to be in the right place, and we got to fly to the football without a doubt.
Yeah, their offense has kind of had your number since you've been here, at least. Is there anything in looking back at those games where you say, I wish we had done this better?
Yeah, always. But, they have a really good scheme, and when Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly are together at linebacker, it's the best linebacking duo in pro football, in my opinion. And Thomas, of course, will be back this week, so that'll be a great challenge for us. So I always got to figure out ways to attack different people, different schemes, and make some plays. Sometimes plays will not necessarily be there, but somebody's got to break a tackle and make a big-time play. We just haven't done that last couple of years against them.
What have you thought of Josh Norman's season so far?
Josh is, I think everybody is the same. You talk about the quarterback, the coaches, the players. We've all been up and down. We've all had flashes of being a really good football team, compete with anybody, anytime, anywhere, and we've had flashes of being inept. And that's what we're trying to make sure we get rid of our ineptness and convert it to some consistency.
And D'Angelo Hall, who played with him, who was in the locker room, said on the radio the other day he thought maybe Josh was a little bit more focused on being a celebrity than being a player. What are your thoughts on that?
D. Hall said that. I got you. No, I don't think so. I think I love D. Hall, but damn, I don't think so. I think when things don't go well, there's going to be a lot of reasons why, but I don't think that's a reason at all. I think the communication wasn't up to par, and that goes for everybody, the safeties and corners and linebackers. Too many guys wide open, and they were some Josh's fault. They were some DJ. They were some of everybody's fault, coaches, whatever it might be, but that's got to get cleared up.
You said yesterday that Josh Jackson's heel probably wouldn't be 100% for the rest of the season. What is it about the injury that's bothering him? And is that something that, in the offseason that he would have to probably get cleaned?
I don't know if it's anything. It's just a nagging deal. I think if you think about a swollen heel or a sore heel, every time you put your shoe on and run, it's going to be a nagging type deal. I don't think it's anything that'll keep him out of the lineup, I don't think, for the next few weeks. But it'll just be something that he's got to get a new shoe probably and something to work with and deal with.
And then was that aggravated by the kick in practice, or was that?
He was, he got kicked in the practice. He didn't get a shoe on until Thursday, I think it was. So he wasn't able to practice Thursday or Friday, and then Saturday he started feeling a little bit better. Sunday he said he felt pretty good, but he didn't do any practice, and I wasn't quite sold, so we kept him out last week.
One thing that seemed to be a little overshadowed by the loss is the play of Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen. What have you seen from those two, specifically Jonathan Allen, in terms of development so far this year?
Yeah, they've been good. They've been really good. They play well together. But, I think got to push them more. We got to get more from them. They're 2 first-rounders. They've got some production in the sack department. They played good against the run, but we need them to play great against the pass. We need more pressure on the quarterback. But I love where they are as football players and as men. They're 2 guys that I never have to worry about, hey, hustle, run to the ball. Hey, these guys are always playing hard, playing fast, playing physical, and you can build a defense around those 2 cats for a long time.
Following up on Allen specifically, what have you made of his seeming emergence as a leader in that room, or the whole defensive room?
Yeah, that's just the way he is. He's a leads by example, and if he needs to be vocal, he can be vocal. And it's easy to be vocal when you lead by example because people know, hey, this guy is working hard. So people tend to listen to guys like that. But he's a great guy, great player.
Mo Harris had a strong game, and it seems like whenever he's had his number called, he's produced. Were you impressed to the point where perhaps he's getting a look to stay as a starting receiver?
I think I've always been impressed with Mo. He does everything right. I had a couple plays I know he wished I had back, like everybody did, but for the most part, he has been productive. He's physical in the running game, and he does a lot of good things. But I like most about Mo, he's versatile. He can play X, Y, or Z like that, and knows all 3 spots, which is crucial with Jameson a little bit banged up and Paul a little bit banged up. He can move to Z. If Jameson can't go, he can move to Zebra. If Josh can't go, he can move to X, and he can be productive on all 3 spots.
Thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Start broad. After getting a chance to watch the film back, what are some of the things that really stuck out to you about Monday night?
Yeah, I mean, I think clearly for all of us, I know myself. Yeah, I mean, the handful of negative plays, clearly for me, the interception, just to be able to miss on the fourth down, it's a big play there. If you see it right off the bat, clearly, for me, my mind, analyzing my mindset and thought process, eyes and feet, all that stuff, and is that marrying up, obviously with what we're doing, and obviously the miscommunication there that, my eyes are not out there and not seeing that. So I think trying to clean up some of that. Certainly, like I said, there were those handful of plays for me, eyes and feet, things like that. Trying to clean up those things, missed opportunities. Yeah, I mean, and then that's it. I think you're looking at it. What could I do better? Certainly, there was. I think for all of us, I know myself. There was a lot that I could do better.
With the eyes and the feet, some of that seems like it would be a comfort level thing. Is it something the Saints were doing? Is it the playbook? What is it?
I mean, that's probably all those things you just talked about. Yeah, I mean, a lack of getting a rhythm, lack of, all the situation, it being one-sided, obviously turns into a pass-heavy deal. We're down. You start pressing. I mean, all those things come into account in a situation like that. Yeah.
Alex, I know it's two different schemes coming from Kansas City and being here.
Yeah.
But in the past, you've played for teams that had strong running games.
Uh-huh.
The two games you guys were successful this year, you
No
ran
question.
the football.
Yeah.
Is that something that you're looking for to have that balance?
I mean, that's the big question, and it's always easy in hindsight because I think the games you look at, that you're running the ball well, you have a bunch of attempts, you're in the rhythm, you're moving the chains, you're in an even game back and forth, or even playing with the lead, you're running the ball in the second half. I mean, so it's hard to tell what comes first, So that's kind of one of those questions. Certainly, I think in those games, you do look back and say, man, I wish we would have hung with it, maybe a little more, stayed more balanced. I think that's natural. I think that happens everywhere. But no question, I think if we're going to be a good offense, you have to have balance. We have to be able to run the football multiple ways. No different than we have to be able to throw the ball in multiple ways, down the field, horizontally, stretch them, misdirection, all that stuff. All those things go into being good on offense, but absolutely got to be balanced.
Obviously, your team, yourself, didn't have the kind of night you wanted, didn't have the best night. You have a wealth of experience. So how do you process a game like that so you don't overreact to what you see on film?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think you don't want to be naive either. You want to be real with yourself. I think every guy in there has got to look themselves in the mirror and be real with themselves. Things they got to get better at, need to get better at to help this team, and we all have them. And you do that, and then you do move on. I mean, it's one game. So, I mean, we're 4 games into the season. We got a lot of football left ahead of us. We're playing a really good football team right now. So we got a new opportunity, new challenge, new week. So I think once you do move on from it and start your prep, you leave it behind you and get ready for this next challenge.
Jay said yesterday maybe he needs to do a better job of doing things, calling plays that you feel like you can have more success in. Have you had those conversations, and how have those gone?
Yeah, we have those conversations. I mean, I'm saying the same thing. I got to do a better job executing. I got to play better. I mean, that's our job as players to do that. So I think that's natural as the coaches and players that we both want to try to help each other out. Yeah. I mean, there's certainly a bunch of plays out there to be made by us, and we left them out there. So, yeah. I mean, listen. Yeah, I don't want to get into like too much or any of that other stuff. I just think that's the nature of the player and coach relationship.
Is it easier to put these in the rearview mirror the farther along you get in your career, the more stability you have?
Not really, no. No, those hurt. They hurt. Not fun. Not fun at all. I don't think they're fun probably for anybody that's affiliated with the Skins, from a fan to anybody in this building, no, it's not fun. So, no, it stings and it should. The only way I think to remedy it is to go get a win.
Were you surprised by how just off everything was? When you have a day like that where nothing kind of clicks?
Yeah, I mean, you don't anticipate it. It's hard. It would be hard for me to talk about, certainly the other 2 phases of the game, but also offensively. You go out there and expect to. I felt good heading into the game. I felt like we had a good plan, and we're going to go out there and expected to have a good night. And yeah, sometimes it does go that way, but you certainly never expect that. You certainly never thinking it's coming.
Do you, after a game like that, do you get in here a little bit more amped up just to put it behind you right away, get in here earlier than you maybe normally would have, just to kind of attack the next week to move on?
Yeah, I think the nature of it being a Monday night game and on a short week kind of makes you. Yeah, I mean, you're cramming anyway. We got back at 5 in the morning, so you're way behind, and doing everything you can to catch up. So yeah, you gotta get past that as much as possible and move on. And part of that is the energy level. Yeah, coming in, I'm excited to get on to the next challenge. That's for sure. Yep.
Alex, obviously the Panthers are just re-signed Eric Reed, and they're bringing him in this week. And last year you had mentioned the NFL protest and said you were very proud of the guys who are doing that. I was wondering if, since he's coming here this week, you could elucidate on those thoughts, or if you still have those thoughts, if you're proud of the players who are still protesting.
I don't have thoughts on it, to be honest. I feel like I got enough dealing with the Monday night and getting ready for this team. So I haven't given it much thought. I don't know Eric that well at all. I missed him there in San Fran. So trying to get ready for this defense, they certainly present a big challenge.
Speaking of the defense, Jay just said that Kuechly and Davis might be the best linebacking duo in the league. What have you seen from them that makes them so special?
Yeah, they don't seem to be slowing down or getting worse. They've been doing it a long time. They've been in that system a really long time. Not many weak spots in their game. I mean, from a physical standpoint, 3 down linebackers can cover. They're physical in the run game. And then I think the biggest thing that jumps out is just how smart and how fast they both are. They identify things quick, can't trick them. They have a knack at just figuring out what you're doing, seeing things, getting to the football, making plays. So yeah, I mean, they're certainly up there. They've been doing it a long time.
Jay said yesterday that he believed that a combination of it being Monday night and then on top of that, you guys getting an early deficit, let the guys trying to do too much, trying to win the game all by themselves or make the comeback all by themselves. Did you sense that either from yourself or some of your offensive teammates?
I don't know if I sensed that. There's probably so many things that went into that. Yeah, the environment, Monday night, big stage, going down there, big environment for us. I think guys were amped up for that. And then, the game situation probably does dictate that. Once we're down a few scores, there probably was some pressing and guys trying to make plays and maybe do too much. Probably did lend itself into that, but there were probably a ton of variables that all play into that, kind of snowballing into what it was.
You mentioned just a little bit, but what's just the toughest challenge you guys face with a shortened week, especially after you have 2 weeks to kind of prepare for the Saints? Did you use any of that time to look at Panthers tape at all in that bye week at all?
I did not. I think the nice thing was having prep for Arizona. We watched a good bit of Carolina film, prepping for them. So there was a little bit of a foundation, I think, for that. A short week, it's a challenge all the way around. Challenge from a recovery standpoint on a short week, getting back, throwing the travel, getting back here, getting healthy, getting ready to roll for Sunday, and then mentally preparing for what you got to prepare to digest the game plan, to know in and out. So that all those little details that we talked about that showed up, that you're there and you're making those.
Jay mentioned after the game that that he would have liked to have gotten the ball to Jordan Reed a little bit more. Is that something for you moving forward that you would want to emphasize a little more? Or for you, is it more open guy gets the ball?
Yeah, you just don't want to. And not only Jordan, but everybody. You never want to miss an opportunity to a guy. Certainly a player like Jordan, you never want to miss an opportunity to get him going, get him involved. He's a guy that I think we all feed off offensively and as a team. Brings a lot of juice. Is a big playmaker for us. So you never want to miss those opportunities. Is it something where you're going to go out there and just cram it in, at all costs? No, but that's kind of our deal as an offense, building it, and my job as a quarterback, deciphering that and knowing when.
From first play, you gave Maurice Harris some chances. What does the wide receiver show you, whether it's most specifically or in general, to earn that trust in one-on-one coverage that you'll give him a chance on a contested ball?
There's a lot that goes into that. I think time and reps, but I think a trust is just that they're going to be aggressive for you. They're going to play fast, and more often than not, make you right. Mo is a guy that I do have a lot of confidence in, as in all these guys. So yeah, you can't hesitate out there, and I think all these guys, have that kind of ability.
Do you feel like you have the kind of rapport you want with these guys yet? I mean, a lot of these guys were in and out during the summertime. You're new here, et cetera. Do you feel like where do you feel you're at with the rapport with some of these guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think regardless of where we're at, I mean, I guess it doesn't totally matter. I mean, we got to get ready to play. Are there reps where maybe more time would have helped, maybe, but I mean, that's at this point it doesn't, that doesn't do us any good. I think we got to go. I do feel comfortable with what we're doing. I feel great about the guys that are doing it and our relationship and the reps we have together. I think there's always going to be those things. It's a process that never ends. I think whether you've played with a guy for 5 years in the same system, those things always happen. I think you're always fine-tuning those things. Thanks, Alex. Yeah, thank you, guys.